Hi, welcome to the bathtub, or what we're going to call the first COVID-free bathtub. This is the first of several episodes we're going to call COVID in the bathtub, because we've just gotten over COVID, and my wife Lucy still has COVID, but she seems to be on the mend. I've been on the mend for about 3 days, and I'm still a little rough, but I can talk without coughing, which is the high point of post-COVID life. Is you stop coughing, and you don't have to blow your nose all the time. So. I've got a whole of stuff. I had a whole bunch of books we were going to talk about before I got hit with COVID, and then I couldn't talk at all. And then I read books while I was on COVID. So I thought I'd take a trip down memory lane. First of all, we start off with what's exciting about getting over COVID, which is you're over COVID. That's all of life looks better when you've had COVID. One of the other things I think this probably goes through everybody's mind. Both Lucy and I have had every single booster. Every vaccination. We're like first in line over there at CVS. Every single shot you can get. And Lucy, being a former nurse, we have sanitary wipes everywhere, and we're washing our hands all the time. And I'm sure we've been much more lax in the past few months, but at the same time, you couldn't be more vaccinated than us, and we still got hit. I'm sure we were, as they say, better off. I believe you're better off once you've taken these vaccinations. And the course of mine was about 5 days. And at the same time, you can't help thinking, they keep calling it breakthrough. It just seems like everybody's going to get this, however many vaccinations they get. But I really believe get your damn vaccinations. So, I'm not an anti-vaxxer by any. I'm a pro. I'll go get a vaccination for anything. For the blues. If there's a blues vaccination at CVS, I'll be there. So first of all, it's special good time to be doing the pixel free and the all natural version of the bathtub. Now that we've got rid of the post tech, all the tech is gone, and we just moving into the end of probably our first post tech year. I think we've had a whole post tech year. Spring water out of the refrigerator, cruel light of day. But again, I think I can even see a little bit of that old Raphael glow returning here to the bathtub. So I'll take you through a little memory lane. I want to show you a few things I really enjoyed the most during my my COVID 3 days of hell. Basically, it's three awful days. That's my tissue lined bin, which was usually piled high with tissues. I've spared you seeing that. This I thought you might like, because this is probably going to cause. I'll probably get more replies about this than anything ever in the history of the bathtub, including how I pronounce Nabokov. This is my it's called Paxlovid. And I think my third day into the thing, I got it at my doctor's. Some people recommend it, some people recommend against it. I have no choice. I chose to take the Paxlovid. And I took a smaller dose. I didn't take the major dose. And I was already getting a little better when I started taking this 5-day course of this drug, and I did get better. Maybe I would have gotten better anyway, but that's the last of the exhausted. The Paxlovid is exhausted, and so am I. Here's one of my masks. We have this. We used to wear these early in the bathtub, remember? Because we had a whole pandemic period. That makes my ears. I sometimes wear this just to make my ears look good. And this is the mask I wore often, and I wore it the last few days when I went because now I'm actually allowed to go out to the shops. And this is my new mask, probably the next mask I'll wear. There's Dodo. You'll see she goes right through the whole pack. She didn't have to make the Paxlovid choice. She's spry. She's sticking her head out. She's probably healthier. I've seen her in a long time. She's getting to do a lot of the stuff she loves to do. These are my doggy pajamas. These are my Christmas doggy pajamas. There you go. And they're just pajama bottoms. I'd look illustrious if I had the tops, but I don't have the tops. I just have the bottoms, which is the Bulldog Christmas pants. And just to show you when you're sick, when you have COVID, more than a flu. If I had the flu, I would think a little bit about how I looked. I actually walked up and down Los Osos Valley Road with a dog wearing these Christmas doggy pajamas, because I didn't give a fuck. I didn't give an F. We don't say bad words here because we're a family show, and we love grandma and the kids, don't we? We're not one of those Russell Brand type guys who loves to swear and say dirty things. We're too innocent. Okay, so that I think that's it. Oh, here's my tissue box. One of the tissue boxes I used. Of course, you got to be hydrating. This is one of the bottles of water. I had distributed all around my office and in my bedroom. And finally, one of the things that I wanted to say was normally, no matter how ill I feel or get depressed, I can always go to the bathtub and spend a day or two reading. Just spend an hour or two in there if I really feel crummy. The COVID is the only time I've ever, when you're at the low point, it does something to your head. At least it did to mine. And I do know what they say when they say you can't concentrate and all. I couldn't read. I couldn't do anything. So for at least 2 days, I couldn't read. But then on the first day, I was starting to feel a little better. I went to the bathtub, and here's a couple of the books I was reading that really helped me get through that last day. I have quite a few, so a lot of these are going to tie into my COVID recovery reading and not. So this is a kind of Pulp Fiction. This is our Pulp Fiction episode because a couple weeks ago, pre-COVID, I read Tanar of Pdar. That's the third of the Edgar Rice Burroughs rollicking, crazy, adventures at the Earth's core. And this is not the central hero. There's a central guy, I forget who it was, who goes down to the Earth in a tunnel and a big mole machine, and he finds this huge underground planet, really, which is even bigger because it's on the inside of the sphere of Earth. So it's this huge, it's kind of almost like a ring world sort of version of Earth. It's so huge, supposedly, that it's but somehow he manages to travel pretty quickly. This is the third volume. I read this before the bathtub, and I have to say I enjoyed this. I really do enjoy this series. It has the problem of many of these pulp fiction writers, which has one plot, which is Tanar he's basically a Pellucidarian or whatever you call him, and he becomes the surface Earth guy's lieutenant or something. He gets captured by the bad people. And basically the whole book's plot is that he's getting caught and escaping and getting caught and escaping, and then he gets captured by all these mole people who live in the caves or something, and he escapes, and he's got a girlfriend, and she gets caught, so the whole plot is every 20 minutes he has to escape. So I'd say the last 20 minutes when he's escaping, I remember I kind of just, okay, I know he's going to get out, and it leaves you in a cliffhanger where he finally meets the central hero of the series. Anyway, I'm enjoying it. I like these. I always say this is the series to read if you've never read Edgar Rice Burroughs, and if you want to read something during COVID, that's a nice one. That's kind of fun. Here's the one that I guess the first book that kind of crawling out of the COVID tunnels was a book which we've talked about here and there, and a writer we've discussed here and there, Jack Vance. Now, Jack Vance is a writer I've read since I was about 14. The first book I think I read of his was The Last Castle, which won a Nebula Award when I was a kid. And I remember reading that and just being fascinated by it. It's very strange, far future. I've compared him to Gene Wolfe, but there is a little more of a fantasy element in it than Gene Wolfe. And I find him better. I like him better than Gene Wolfe myself, as far as the novels and these fantastic worlds. The Dying Earth has almost become an image of the far future scientific romance, where it's way at the end of Earth's history and the sun is red and the whole planet has changed, civilization has changed, and everyone does sort of magic. And it's past a period when all the magic has actually been destroyed for some reason, through some cataclysm, and there's only so much magic left, and all these sorcerers are running around learning these different magical things. It is very dark, very twisted, very surprising. This is if you haven't read Jack Vance, I really encourage you to try The Dying Earth. It's easily it's possibly his first book, and it's a series of novelettes that he wrote, I believe, when he was in the military service. There's a lot of things I find interesting about Jack Vance, not just that I've read him a lot as a kid. He had a very long career, so he must have written this in his 20s, but he was still writing fairly successful novels in his late 70s and 80s. I forget how old he was when he died, but some of his late books are supposed to be very good, and I haven't read some of those. But The Dying Earth, the first volume, you can get it on Kindle. There's an omnibus of The Dying Earth with different organization of chapters, which is a little confusing, but any version you get of Dying Earth, I think you'll really get a kick out of it. And the other book I had sort of fun with at the beginning and post-COVID was, this is we all love, I love, the old Ballantine adult fantasies. Look at that. Sometimes I think on this stupid show we just show you some beautiful old books. I mean, I grew up with these. This is the sort of books I would go to the drugstore and buy. I mean, that's 1971. I must have been 16 when I bought that at the drugstore, and just beautiful wraparound covers. As I've said, I've never read any Lovecraft when I was younger. I found it kind of over the top and ridiculous and kind of, too Stygian. It was too Stygian for me. And then late in life, in the past 5-6 years since we've been doing the Bathtub, as I've said, I've sort of discovered him like some people late in life, and I quite enjoy a lot of Lovecraft, and I like most of what I read of his. I particularly like Clark Ashton Smith, who I believe was probably a big influence on Gene Wolfe, and also Jack Vance. Anyway, this is a weird little collection that Lynn Carter put together. It's not any of their major books. These are all these sort of little fantasies and kind of prose poems about kind of horrific, somber castles being infected by horrible spirits or something. The doom that came to Sarnath, I quite enjoyed a lot here. Very Poe-like, very haunted palace-like, but with its own atmosphere. And this volume is graced with a lot of things. Basically, it's a beautiful book to read. It's just lovely and really beautiful looking. And then also, you have these nice introduction by Lynn Carter and a series of introductions to the stories. This includes 2 sets of stories that I don't normally know about as well with Lovecraft, which is one is he used to do collaborations because he did anything to make a little money as a writer. He was not very well known in his lifetime. So there's 2 stories in here. He collaborated with young writers. I think they actually paid him to help them write stories. And those are both kind of interesting. I wasn't as wild about them. And then there's a long novelette, kind of a Weird Tales adventure novelette, which he wrote under the name of Harry Houdini. He was paid by Harry Houdini's business to write a story about his adventures in the pyramids. And that's okay. Some people like it more than I did. It wasn't my favorite part of the book, but it's certainly good COVID reading, and I think it fits as the Pulp Fiction because I'm of a Pulp Fiction place. And just last but not least, because I kind of like reading Lovecraft now, especially over Christmas, holidays, horror's great. I found this weird old these are another series of books in the early 70s, mid 70s from Jove Books. And this is an edition of some of the stories. Normally we prefer the S.T. Joshi edited Penguin editions. There's 3 volumes in Penguin which have pretty much all of Lovecraft's work in them. But I couldn't turn this down. Look at that beautiful cover. 1978. Anyway, and that has it's some of his biggest and best novels. It has Call of Cthulhu. It has Whisperer in Darkness, which is a brilliant one, Shadow Out of Time, and all of those. Anyway, that's a cool volume which I may read over Christmas just because I like reading it, this edition. Okay, there's our first COVID-free, our COVID-enriched and COVID-free edition of the Bathtub. I'm going to do a couple more of these quickly. We're trying to clear off all these books in the shelves and take Lucy and my dog for a walk in the sun, and we'll probably enjoy it. Okay, stay safe.